But all that volume is a dynamic place. And what you'd want to do is maximize that volume before you hire somebody. It would be a hyper volume.
So you guys, if you've been following my channel, you can tell that I'm a science analytical type of guy. That's just the way I look at things. And so I want to get to the facts, get to the brass tacks. And so anytime I see something with Neil deGrasse Tyson on it, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to listen. He came out with the Cosmos. I zipped through that in like a day and a half. And so in this video, it says 4 factors that predict future success, and I'll link it, of course. But he started talking about how you can choose a mate, choose a wife, and it was just very practical. And when I heard him talk about it, I had to comment on it. So with that, I want to just make a quick video on a scientific way of, choosing a mate.
Choose your mate the same way. Are they good looking? Does it matter? Okay. But if you only choose them only because they're good looking, and then one day they get older and less good looking, does that mean you're going to love them less? Yes, it will mean that. If that's the only reason why you got together.
Which happens many times.
What happens many times. Okay. Do you want them also for their money? It sounds shallow, but that's not any more shallow than liking someone for their beauty. It's just another thing.
What he's talking about here is really important because we know this, but we don't really think about it. But choosing a mate on 1 or 2 characteristics is really dangerous, especially choosing them on 1 characteristic. And the way he breaks it down is just so scientific that it just is fantastic.
So might they one day lose their money? That's possible, unless it's deep family money. But okay, and how about, do they have a sense of humor? Are they ambitious? There's a volume. And then you can put everybody and scale it from 0 to 10 on each of those, right? Multiply it out, you have a volume.
He's talking about the volume, so I'm gonna use this volume here. You can't really do 4 dimensions because that wouldn't be, we can't really do 4 dimensions. On the x-axis, I would say beauty, sexiness, that should probably be the first. And he said 0 to 10, right? And probably on my second axis, I would put niceness and agreeability there, right? And on the third axis, I would probably put competence. So, if I need help with, running my business or stuff like that, she could figure those things out. Now, I want you to listen to the way he talks about the volume, or he calls it a hyper volume. And it's a really interesting way to look at it.
Now you can take all your mates, potential mates, scale them this way. And what happens is, because you're multiplying this out, they end up spreading hugely on a scale. And it becomes obvious who the best one is at that point. Obvious. We did this when we were looking for a home.
Now, it's fantastic, isn't it? Now, one thing that's really important, and he's going to talk about this later, but you can't have one of these can't be close to 0. She's got to be pretty, she has to be nice and agreeable, and she has to be competent. Let's say that she's nice and agreeable and she's beautiful, but she's just not very competent. Then that really shrinks the volume of the area, right? And the way he talks about this hyper volume is just so brilliant.
Well, we was like, okay, was it affordable? Is it nearby work? Is all the appliances new? Do you like the neighborhood? These are coordinates. Judge it from 0 to 10. By the way, if any coordinate is 0, everything drops out because you're multiplying. All right. So if it's 0 on any of these coordinates, keep moving. There's nothing there. Okay. No matter how good anything else looks to you.
That is really important. If one of those 3 or 4 things, your top 4 is close to 0, if it's agreeability, if it's beauty, if it's, it's your choice. It could be weight. It could be her voice, whatever it is. If any of those things are close to 0, that's a big problem. It's a big problem.
All right. Then give it a 1. Fine. All right. So there we are. And then you can throw in a category called intangibles. It just feels right to me. That's allowed.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
This is allowed. So let that be an extra coordinate there. Then, okay, multiply it out as you go to each one. That's how we chose the home to buy, my wife and I. And by the way, it's also how I decided that my wife was like the right person for me.
Now, you would imagine, you look at Neil deGrasse Tyson, you can imagine that's exactly how he chose his wife. How nice is she? How pretty is she? How agreeable is she? And I don't know, maybe intangibles. And it's just a very scientific way to think about it. And we are so ingrained with the romantic notion that if it just feels right, it's going to work. But looking at it from this logical way of thinking about it, right? So if you have your 3 non-negotiables and you maximize those in a mate, and then you have that 4th intangible that might be, I don't know, can she sing? Is she good at cooking? Whatever that might be. For me, that would, I don't know, waist size, or I don't know, or maybe she has a large, she has a large backside, or she has big thighs, whatever. And you say that, and she's competent, and she's nice, and she's beautiful, and that volume gets ever larger, then that is the way he's saying that you should choose a mate. And it is incredibly intelligent, but it's not the way that we're taught how to choose a mate. It just feels right. That's not what he's saying here.
I looked at all the coordinates of what I valued in a mate, and we've been married 34 years.
Can I ask you specifically about your wife? How did you judge her? You're saying obviously first was like, okay, beauty, but like are these... I'm literally taking notes here. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No, you shouldn't use mine. Don't use my category.
But I want to know from your category though.
My category. Am I attracted to her?
Yes.
You can add things like sex and this sort of thing, or are they fun to be with? You can add all of this together.
Go on.
Are they? For me, I valued is she smart and clever. I like that.
So hot and smart. Done. What else?
It's really interesting, especially watching this podcast, because these guys are rich. I mean, they're certainly richer than Neil deGrasse Tyson, but when they're listening to him talk, it's like, this makes so much sense. It really does. If you find the 4 things that are most important to you, and those things match with the person you're dating, it's a no-brainer. But we don't look at it that way. We put so much into, is she really pretty, or can she cook? And we don't think about the other non-negotiables, like, is she agreeable, or is she soft, or does she have a pleasant disposition? If you consider like the 4 non-negotiables on a scale, you almost can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. I want to hear the rest of it, because he's going to talk about his wife here.
I met her in graduate school. She was getting a PhD in mathematical physics.
What about caring and motherly?
Yeah, no, so I didn't care at all about motherliness, but is the person kind? That could be kind. Is she kind or compassionate? And so once you do this, there was no one else that came close on the scale of anyone else I had dated, even historically dated.
So that's fantastic. I think that is just wonderful. And I just wanted to make a quick video because of all the decisions that we make in our life, the mate that we choose is going to be probably one of the biggest decisions that we make. And that is a decision that we have to do logically. And so I just want to make a quick video, let you guys think about this. Think about the 3 axes, the 4 axes. You might even want to write them down on a piece of paper. What are the 4 non-negotiables that you have? And if you're dealing with someone where one of those non-negotiables is close to 0, that's a big problem. And if you're dealing with someone who's maxing out all 4 of those, I mean, it's pretty hard to miss. Simple as it sounds, it's not something what we think about. That's why we have smart guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson to listen to. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.